What madness is this?
So, today I would like to tell you 3 stories that are current, that are going on right now, that have impact in the world, I believe. And they are 3 stories that I honestly think what connects them all is unfairness. There's just something inherently unfair about these 3 stories. The first story comes out of New Zealand. A long time ago, a couple years, quite a few years, you might have heard about this story. If you didn't, I'll recap it. New Zealand got a woman to be like the head of their military because we need a woman to be the head of the military. Not the best woman, not the brightest woman, not the most experienced woman, not the most good for the position. We just need a pair of tits. We need to be able to go, look, you see that? Those tits. Tits are running our military. That's all they cared about. And that woman got in, and she decided that all she cared about was that their brand new submarine be piloted by a woman. That's it. Didn't need to be the best woman. Didn't need to be the most qualified woman. Didn't need to be the brightest woman. Just needed to be a woman. The fact that she was a lesbian, well, that's just gravy, right? We got a lesbian woman. I couldn't think of a person more qualified to captain a brand new submarine than a woman. When I think about great ship captains, not a fucking one of them is a woman. I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to throw it on out there. There isn't one great ship captain woman throughout all of recorded history that doesn't have 20 men standing above her going, she's alright. Right? And I think that needs to change. And so, because that needs to change, we just need to put women in charge of shit. Some of them will be successful, some of them will be not. That's just life. And the more successful women that we just kind of jam into places, we can go, see, I told you, all you need to be is a woman, and you can be successful. So we got this lesbian woman running this submarine straight into the reef. She destroyed the submarine. Now, I am not entirely sure if she was qualified to run that submarine. I honestly don't remember. I'm sure at the time that everybody was pointing out that she wasn't qualified to run the submarine. She wasn't qualified to be captain. I don't know her military record. I don't know how she served. I don't know what laurels she has earned. I don't know if you even have to earn laurels anymore. She could have the Gold Star of New Zealand, or whatever the fuck it is. The highest awards New Zealand could give. Did she earn it? Who cares? It's a woman. We'll just give it to her, because then that way we can say, a woman got this too. Right? She could have all manner of great things in her jacket. I have no clue. But, from what I understand, her first time as captain, she ran the motherfucker into the reef and destroyed the submarine. I don't believe anybody was killed. I don't believe anybody was even hurt, really. I'm sure there were some injuries, but I'm sure they also ranged from cuts and scrapes to actual real cuts, and But she ran the shit aground. And so, how has New Zealand decided to handle this situation? Well, from what I hear today, they are going to put that woman in prison. And I went, what? They, I imagine, did an investigation. The quality of that investigation, I don't know. Because they could have just put a woman in charge of it. I have no clue how well the investigation was done. But from the investigation, they said, well, we need to try her and put her in prison. And I think that's terribly unfair. I think if you take somebody and you say the requirements for doing this job is a pair of tits and a single pussy, if she meets the requirements you set, and she didn't do a good job, because my guess is she was not qualified to be a submarine captain. I don't think it's her fault that she got shoved into a position. I mean, I'm sure she was delighted about it. I'm sure she was slay queen all over the place about it. I'm sure she was all manner of nothing but ego and stupidity over it. I bet you. But yet, that doesn't mean that she should be held responsible for the idiocy of the person who said, all we need is a pair of tits and a pussy. Why is the pair of tits and pussy that you said was all that was required, why is she going to go to jail because you fucked up? What is going to happen to the lady that put her in charge of the submarine? Is she going to be investigated? Is she going to be brought up on charges? Is she going to go to jail for being incompetent? My guess is probably fucking not. And I think that that is terribly unfair. And I think that's a big old problem. If I go to a dentist and ask him to fix my car, and my car's still fucked up, is it my fault that I asked the dentist to fix my car? Yeah! That's my fault. It isn't the fault of the dentist, because most likely the dentist said, this isn't really what I do, and I said, I don't give a shit, I'm going to pay you a whole bunch of money, do it. And they probably went, you're going to pay me a whole bunch of money? Okay. And they did it. Right? If I go to a mechanic and ask him to do dental work on me, and he fucks up my teeth, is it his fault for fucking up my teeth? I mean, yeah, sure, to a degree, if you're doing dental surgery on somebody without a license. But nevertheless, what is the punishment going to be for the dumb bitch that put her in this position? My guess is, fuck all. And I think that's unfair. I think that's wrong. Story number 2. Jasmine Crockett. I believe she was running for the Senate. And she was running against a guy named Shithead Telrico. Right? And Shithead Telrico cooked up a scheme with Shithead Colbert. And they fabricated this fucking lie. Here's the law. Here's how it works. I know this because I used to listen to Opie and Anthony a lot. And they used to talk about this all the time. Every time there was an election, they would say, we wish we could have this person on, but we don't want to have that person on. And if we have that person on, we have to give equal time to that person. So we're just not going to talk to fucking anybody. Because there's one side we support, one side we don't. We don't want to have to support both in any way. So we're going to support neither. And that'll be the thing. Right? This has always been the way it is. Radio, TV, you have to give equal time. It's a law. It's been a law for longer than I've been alive. And everybody knows this. Everybody who works in radio and TV, you fucking well know this, Shithead Colbert. But Colbert's team, him, they came out and they said, Donald Trump is telling us we're not allowed to have this guy on. Donald Trump is suppressing this guy, Shithead Telrico, suppressing him so that you can't see him because he's so dangerous and Donald Trump is so scared of him. I'm going to tell you right now, Donald Trump is everybody as scared of his Democratic opposition as I am. And I'm not. Not even a little bit. you're all fucking retarded. In fact, we probably wanted Jasmine Crockett to win, because Jasmine Crockett loves to display her retardation. This Telrico guy, whole different beast. And I use the word beast for a reason. I watched the interview with Colbert and this Telrico guy, and I gotta tell you, I was impressed. I was impressed at the, like, moment by moment flip-flopping. Like, the hypocrisy was so ridiculous, right? They go into like a 7-minute bit where Colbert says, you know, you're in the seminary, you're to be a pastor, right? And he goes, yeah. And then he goes on and on about how his form of Christianity is what he practices, right? And then they both kind of have a little discussion about how disgusting it is to use religion in a political sense to score political points. He does this at the end of a 7-minute bit where he uses religion to score political points, where he twists and heresies Christianity to score political points. I think Jesus would be all about the illegal immigrants. I fucking don't. I quite specifically don't. Because it was discussed in the Bible. Right? This sort of thing was discussed. And no. You can be welcoming to people as long as they are willing to come into your society and be a part of your society. If they come into your society and refuse to be a part of your society, the Old Testament at least is very, very clear on what to do with somebody like that. And it ain't give them all your money so that they can ship it back home. That was not. It was not what the Lord told the ancient Hebrews to do. Right? I mean, we're getting back Old Testament now, but nevertheless. Right? And I believe that Jesus spoke quite specifically about following the laws. Give on to Caesar what is Caesar's. Well, Caesar demands you don't come into the fucking country illegally. So there you go. Right? Like, Jesus would support abortion. Yeah. Jesus spoke quite specifically about that too. Matthew, I believe 18:6. He said, "For if you should allow one of these little ones that believes in me to come to harm, better you to have a millstone tied around your neck and be thrown into the deepest part of the ocean. Better to sleep with the fishes than to hurt a child." Mafia Jesus. Don Jesus. Right? I think thou shalt not kill. These are very black and white fucking things. Right? Especially when it involves children. It gets gray when you're talking Jebusites and Perizzites and Amorites and all that sort of thing. At that point it was go kill them all. But these were people that God was looking to punish on earth. Right? I don't think God is in any way looking to punish babies that have yet to be born. I don't believe in original sin. I don't believe in original sin because Jesus died for our sins. Yeah, y'all Catholics got it fucking wrong. Nevertheless, I think he's a disgusting fuckstick. And a lot of people I've talked to about it, they've said, there's something about the man. I look at him and there's something about the man that just gives me the oogies. And I'm like, it's the evil. It's the evil. That's what gives you the oogies. But he beat Jasmine Crockett because he lied. Because he decided to attribute a law that is older than I am to Donald Trump. And to pretend as if Donald Trump was like hardcore enforcing that law just to screw him out of coverage, when in actuality Stephen Colbert wanted to screw Jasmine Crockett out of coverage. And Jasmine Crockett lost her election. She lost it by like 6 points or something like that. Very thin margin, right? I think that's even within the margin of error. Or is it 5 or 3? It's pretty fucking close to the margin of error. Close race. Close enough that maybe a lie made the difference. And I think that's very unfair. I don't like Jasmine Crockett. I don't like her politics. I don't like her behavior. I don't like the person that she portrays herself to be. But I don't like the retards in New Zealand that just said all we need is a tits on the wheel and we'll be good. I don't like them either. I don't like this woman that said, hey, yeah, sure, maybe I'm not qualified, but they think I am, so I'm just going to do it no matter what because I don't like her either. But I can tell you that putting her in jail for that shit is fucking unfair. And Jasmine Crockett losing this election because of a lie is fucking unfair. And I would hope for more from a person who's going to seminary, who wants to be a pastor, or at least wanted to be a pastor. I would hope for more honesty, less bearing of false witness. You know what I mean? Like, I would hope for that sort of thing, but I do understand that hope is not a strategy. And I do understand that anytime you pray to God for other people to be good, probably not going to get that prayer answered. Because it requires them to make the active decision to not be shitheads. But it enrages me that this guy is moving forward. And I hope he loses resoundingly in the actual general election. Such bullshit. I think it's unfair. Story number 3. Today I was watching video of Tim Walz being deposed by Congress. And I think the whole thing is unfair. Tim Walz is not a retard. Tim Walz legitimately has a learning disorder. Tim Walz legitimately has brain damage of some sort. He has brain problems. Maybe he's just not that smart. Maybe he's been bopped in the head too many times. I don't know what his past football career is. From what I understand, he was not really all that much of a coach, but he was kind of a coach. I don't know if he was ever a player. I don't know, if he was like a hardcore boxer back in the day. But there is something legitimately inferior about Tim Walz's intellect. Now, not to say that I think that all the people that were questioning him in Congress are that much better, but they're better enough that I think it's unfair that this poor man should have to sit there and be made to look a fool. He already worked so hard to make himself look like a fool. I don't think he needs help. I don't think he needs somebody that's sitting up there going, Obama said that the criteria that he used to pick his vice president was he wanted somebody not as smart, not as capable, somebody that would not outshine him. So he picked Joe Biden. And Joe Biden decided that was a great idea, so he picked somebody that was not as smart, not as capable, and would not outshine him. And Kamala Harris also followed suit. I think that's that's unfair, right? It's true. It's totally true. But it's unfair to say that to the man's face in something that's being recorded and is going to be disseminated all over the fucking world, right? I think that's unfair. I think it's unfair to point out that Tim Walz is a copy of a copy of a copy. You get the original, and then you make a copy of it, and it's a little bit off. You still read it, it's just fine. You make a copy of that copy, and it's getting a little bit worse. You know what I mean? And then you make a copy of the copy of the copy, and man, that shit is just really not sharp. You know what I mean? All the sharpness is just gone. It's a very dull print. Tim Walz has a very dull brain. And I think it's unfair that he should have to field questions from Nancy Mace just with her cuntiness. Like, Nancy Mace is quickly joining Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert and the assholes that I just think we should cut loose, right? The people I think we should vote out. I don't think we should vote a Democrat in their place. Absolutely not. But I think we should get better Republicans. You know what I mean? It's the same problem I have with Michael Knowles. It's the same problem I have with Matt Walsh. It's the same problem I have with Ben Shapiro. You're an arrogant little fuckstick and nobody likes you. Doesn't matter how right you are. You're an arrogant little fuckstick and nobody's going to take your correct points well. Right? It's the same thing with me. Everybody writes me off because, oh, you're just drunk. No, I'm not drunk. I'm not drinking. I haven't drank since the beginning of January. I haven't had a drop since then. And the reason I haven't had a drop since then is because I got really sick one night when I had those 2 Four Locos. That was a bad fucking idea. And I went, why am I doing this? And I stopped drinking again. Honestly, the only reason I started drinking again is because I was like, you know, I miss Fireball. I really like Fireball. And then Fireball turned into beers, and then beers turned into Four Loko. Gotta stop, right? I don't drink. But everybody decides to throw that out there whenever they have nothing better to say. I, as I have always maintained, am a very bad representative of good points of view. Even though I can articulate them well, even though I can explain them well, there's just that thing about me that idiots will latch onto and go, I'm just going to write that guy off because, yeah, sure, everything he says makes me sweat, and every time I try to come up with some sort of counter-argument, I just can't. So the only thing I've got is, well, he's drunk. Right? Ben Shapiro comes out and says great things, and everybody goes, but he's a dick. Right? Fucking, what was it? Sargon of Akkad. Right? Carl Benjamin. He goes to run for Parliament. And at the time I said, you're an idiot. Nobody's going to vote for you because you're an asshole. Like, you're a bad person to represent your point of view. Because all they're ever going to do is bring up that one fucking question. So why wouldn't you assault that woman? And that's what it was. Every interview, he had to yet again rehash. Look, I was saying that because I'm a shithead. That doesn't mean I can't do the job. Yeah, it kind of does. Because you're not going to get votes. I'm never going to be popular. I know this. Because I don't care to be popular. I am not going to censor myself. If I do, it will be very light. I'll say assault instead of rape, because I know that YouTube really hates when people say words that have meaning that they don't like and that might traumatize somebody because they happen to have that situation happen to them. So mentioning it all in any fucking way, because God knows people have been developed to be so fucking weak that they can't even hear words anymore without losing their fucking minds. I'm never going to be popular. Nobody's ever going to let me be popular. Those of you who say I'm criminally undersubbed, I'm right where I should be. I'm right where my attitude and my general way of being is going to put me every fucking time. It's sad, but it's true. It's the world that we live in. But Tim Walz, I think it's unfair. I think it's unfair that we should expect the stupidest man in the room to be able to give smart answers. And I think it's unfair when our government officials shit all over him when the man's just not capable of giving smart answers. I watched a good portion of that hearing, and it reminded me of a time that I watched an adult beat up a child. There's no honor in that. You didn't accomplish anything. I think it's sad. I think we should just investigate the man, and if we find out that he had even a scintilla of involvement in any of this, just put him in fucking prison. Why are we wasting everybody's time with these fucking hearings? They mean nothing. All of your hearings mean nothing. Nobody goes to jail. Nobody gets fined. Nobody gets put out of their fucking position. Like, Tim Walz is still the fucking governor of Minnesota. Why do we bother with any of you fucks? What is the point of Congress exactly? You don't make fucking laws, so don't tell me that. You don't fix laws, so don't tell me that. All you do you bitch about how the whole system of law is broken, and when somebody points out to you, well, why don't you fucking fix it? You go, well, because the other side won't let us. Well, maybe because your ideas are retarded. Maybe you need to come together and form a coalition of smart ideas that are partially retarded here and there, as opposed to demanding my way or the fucking highway. I don't think anybody, well, I can't even really say that anymore. A good portion of the country didn't vote you into office to be shitheads and not do anything. But that's what you do. You do nothing, you collect a check, you graft the fuck out of everything you can, you take every cent from every lobbyist that'll come up to your door, you retire millionaires, and you've done nothing. All you do is bitch and complain. That's why I like Donald Trump so much. He does things. He says, I'm going to do this, and then not long after, that fucking happens. If the Iranians start killing the protesters, man, that's going to be bad for them. And here we are a couple months later. It's been pretty fucking bad for them. Everybody who ordered that shit is pretty much dead at this point. And their underlings are also dead. Donald Trump did that. Because he does things. All you motherfuckers seem to want to do is sit around and talk, make fun of each other like douchebags at fucking high school. And you do fucking nothing. And I think that is also unfair. There's our fourth unfair story. It's unfair that we need to be ruled by shitheads that do nothing. Is anything going to happen from this trial? Is anything going to happen from this deposition? Is anything going to happen other than Tim Walz gets to look like a fucking idiot on TikTok for the next couple months? No. Nothing's going to happen. He's not going to jail. They're going to half-ass an investigation. And I'm getting fucking tired of it. I'm getting tired of all of these unfair things happening. The wrong people being punished, liars being rewarded, and assholes just doing nothing. It's unfair. I'm tired of it.